Let's make the bass wobble from the Sign by Camelphat and Anyma. Go to your global and lower the width unison on oscillator A to 0. Oscillator A to your analog basic shapes, saw wave. Adjust that fine tuning, raise the unison to 7 and lower that detune. Adjust your LFO 2. Set the rate to 1 bar and set it to envelope. Set your filter to notch 24. Assign an LFO 2 to the cutoff. Adjust that modulation. Raise up your resonance and drive. Let's add on a noise and do analog bright white. Let's add on an asymmetric distortion. Raise up your drive and lower that mix. Add on an MG low 6 filter. Adjust your LFO 1. Turn off BPM and set it to trigger. Assign your LFO 1 to the cutoff. Adjust that modulation. Adjust your resonance, drive, and fat. Then automate the rate of your LFO 1. Add on a multi-band compressor. Add on a phaser. Lower the rate to off and turn on BPM. Adjust your settings like this. Assign LFO 2 to the frequency. Adjust that modulation. Then lower that mix. Add on a hyper dimension. Lower the mix on the hyper. Adjust the size and mix on the dimension. Add on an EQ to cut off some low end and some top end. Then add on a plate reverb. Let's make the lead to the Sign by Camelphat and Anyma. Oscillator to analog basic CJW. Raise up that wavetail position all the way and raise up that level. Turn on your noise and let's do analog J106 HP. And I'm going to adjust my velocity curve and assign my velocity to the level of my noise. So you can really only hear this noise when you play notes with a higher velocity. Turn your voicing on to mono. Adjust your envelope 1. Turn on your filter and let's do MG low 6. Assign envelope 1 to the cutoff. Adjust the modulation. Raise up that drive. Let's add on an asymmetric distortion. Raise up that drive a tiny bit and lower that mix. Add on a delay. Offset the right side a tiny bit. Adjust your filter and raise up that mix. Add on a hall reverb. Adjust your settings like this. Raise up that mix. Add on a low cut EQ and also a high cut EQ. Then automate that high cut filter. Let's make the lead to Eternity by Anyma and Chris Avantgarde. Oscillator to analog basic shapes, saw wave. Raise up the unison to 4 and lower that detune. Oscillator B, let's do analog basic shapes. Square wave, lower that octave -1. Set the unison to 4 and lower that detune. And lower that level. Set your voicing to mono. Adjust your envelope 1. Adjust your envelope 2. Add on an MG low 18 filter. Turn on for A and B. Assign envelope 2 to that cutoff. Adjust that modulation. Turn on your noise and add on this trans perk 3. Assign envelope 2 to this level. Adjust that modulation and turn on a one shot and set it to direct out. Add on a sine fold distortion. Set your drive to 10% and your mix to 70%. Add on a multi-band compressor. Add on a low cut EQ around 300 Hz. Add on a peak 24 filter and adjust your cutoff, resonance, and your drive. Add on a 1/8 delay. And then add on a hall reverb and copy these settings. Let's make the bass do Pictures of You by Anyma. Turn on mono. On oscillator A, adjust this phase, lower this randomness, and raise up this level. On oscillator B, raise up the unison to 5, lower this detune. Adjust your envelope 1. Adjust your envelope 2. Add on a low 24 filter. Assign an envelope 2 to this cutoff. Adjust this modulation. Turn on the filter for A and B. Lower this resonance and raise up this drive. Make your envelope 3 really short. Assign your envelope 3 to the global master tuning. Set the amount to about 50. Add on a tube distortion, turn on this post filter, adjust your drive in your mix. Add on a mid-range boost, and then sidechain it to the kick. Let's make the lead to Running Man by Camelphat. To me, the most interesting part of this lead is actually the time signature, because it's almost like 3.5/4. Because you have these 3 bars, a half a bar, and then it just repeats. And if I clap that out, it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Here's the lead with some claps, and I'll count along with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now for the lead sound, I have the kickstart 2. I have the default wavetable on oscillator A. This is my envelope 1. My LFO 1 is controlling the level of my noise and also oscillator A. The mode is on trigger. I have the BPM turned on and also this triplet turned on. And if I just hold down one note now, I can then play around and automate this rate. The voicing is turned on to mono. I have on this peak 12 filter. Then I have on the soft clip distortion, a delay to add on some width, an EQ, and then I have on a plate reverb. Let's make the lead from Flame by Artbat. Oscillator A, let's do analog basic shapes. Lower it 1 octave. Let's do square wave. Raise up the level. Turn on oscillator B. Raise up the unison to 7. Lower that detune. Raise up the level. Turn on your filter for A and B. Raise up that resonance. Raise up that drive. Go to your voicing. Let's turn on mono. Turn on legato. Raise up your portamento. Go to alpha 1. Give these 2 lines a bit of a curve. Now assign your alpha 1 to your cutoff. Adjust the modulation a bit like this. And in order to get that wobble effect, I'm automating the rate. Let's add on a compressor. I'm going to do multiband, adjust the high a bit, and raise up that gain. Now I'm going to put my bass frequencies into mono. Then I'll add the isotope trash for distortion. I'll use the hard chip preset. Then I'll add an eighth note delay, and then some hall reverb. Let's make the lead from Artbat's remix of Return to Oz. First go to global, adjust your width to 0. Oscillator A, let's do basic subby saw. Lower the octave -1, raise up the unison to 7, lower that detune. Adjust alpha 1, raise the rate up to 1/8, turn on envelope. Assign alpha 1 to your wavetable position on oscillator A. Turn on oscillator B, lower the octave -1, raise up the unison to 7. Let's adjust your envelope 1 a tiny bit so it looks like this. Go to alpha 2, let's do sidechain 2, assign it to the level of oscillator A and also the level of oscillator B. Go to your alpha 3, adjust it like this, turn your rate up to 1/8 and turn on envelope. Turn on your filter, let's do MG low 12, turn on for A and B, turn your fat all the way up, raise up the drive a bit. Now assign alpha 3 to your cutoff, adjust the modulation like this, then turn on key tracking. Let's add on some distortion, I'm going to do diode 2, lower that mix. Now let's add on some guitar amp modulation, I'm going to do a pedal and the amp. Then add on an EQ8, taking out the low end and the high end. Then do a dotted 16th note ping pong delay. And then follow that up with some dirty hall reverb. Let's make the lead to Metro by Kevin DeVries and Mwaki. Turn on mono. Oscillator A, raise up that level. Oscillator B, let's adjust that fine tuning. Raise up that unison to 8. And raise up that level a tiny bit. Give envelope 1 some release. Adjust your envelope 2. Add on an alpha and Z noise. Assign envelope 2 to this level. Adjust that modulation. Alpha 1, turn off your BPM and set your rate to about 50 Hz. Assign alpha 1 to the fine tuning of oscillator A. Add on a hard clip distortion. Adjust your drive in your mix. Add on a low cut EQ and a bit of a boost in the high end. Add on a half note delay with a lot of feedback. Then add on a really big reverb. And then some sidechain compression. Let's make the synths do Aria by Argy and Omnya. Oscillator A, let's do analog basic MCB. Add on a ARP white noise. Raise up that level. Give your envelope 1 some release. Adjust your envelope 2. Add on a MG low 24 filter. Assign envelope 2 to this cutoff. Adjust this modulation. Lower your resonance and raise up your drive. Then I'm going to go to this macro knob, relabel it open, assign this macro knob to the cutoff, adjust that modulation, then assign this macro knob to the sustain on envelope 2. Now when I raise up this macro knob, it'll also raise up the sustain on envelope 2 and also the cutoff. And then I can easily automate that macro knob. Next, add on a compressor, then a low shelf EQ, and then a high shelf. I'll add on a quarter note ping pong delay, and then add on a hall reverb, and adjust your settings like this. Let's make the synth stabs to Sierra by Argy and Baset. Let's start with a MIDI. Here's oscillator A. Copy oscillator A to B. Raise this up 1 octave and lower the level a tiny bit. Add on the alpha and Z noise. Give your envelope 1 some release. Adjust your envelope 2. Adjust your envelope 3 really short. Let's make these really bright by adding on a multiband compressor. Add on a MG low 6 filter. Assign this envelope 2 to the cutoff and adjust that modulation slightly. Adjust your resonance and drive. Now to make this filter a bit snappier, assign envelope 3 to the cutoff. Adjust that modulation. And then you can play around with automating this cutoff. Add on a tube distortion and adjust your drive and mix. Add on a low cut EQ and a high shelf boost. Add on a quarter note ping pong delay. And then add on a hall reverb. Let's make the lead to The Feeling by Massano. Oscillator A, let's do analog basic shapes. Let's do square wave and raise it up +1 octave. Lower this randomness. Oscillator B, let's do analog basic shapes. Sine wave, lower it -1 octave. Lower this randomness and lower the level all the way. Go back to your warp knob on oscillator A and select FM from B. Set it to about 71%. Add on your noise and let's do analog alpha and Z. Raise up that level. Turn on your filter and let's do a peak 12 filter. Turn on for A and also turn on key tracking. Lower your mix. Set your cutoff to about 1.5 kilohertz. Raise up your resonance and raise up that drive. Add on a tube distortion. Raise the drive all the way up and set the mix to about 60%. Add on a low cut EQ around 270 Hz. Add on a delay and set it to an 8th note dotted ping pong delay. Then add on a hall reverb and adjust the settings like this. Let's make the bass stabs to Anyma by Massano and Zafrir. Turn on mono. Oscillator A do digital icon has kick. Lower the octave to -1. Raise up the wavetail position to about 120. Lower the randomness. Oscillator B, lower the octave to -2. Raise up the unison to 7 and adjust that detune. And lower the level. Add on the J60 noise. Lower the level. Adjust your envelope 1. Adjust your envelope 2. Add on an MG-Low24 filter for A and B. Assign envelope 2 to this cutoff. Adjust the modulation. Lower the resonance and raise up the drive. Add on a multiband compressor. Add on a diode 2 distortion and adjust your drive and mix. Add on the hyper dimension and adjust the mix on the hyper and the size and mix on the dimension. Add on a low shelf EQ and a boost around 2 kHz. Add on an eighth note ping pong delay. Add on the erosion plugin with this wide noise setting. Then add on a light hall reverb. Let's make the lead synth to The Blaze by Massano. First, it's important to get the chords right. Oscillator A is to Spectral Monster 1. Raise up that wavetable position and raise up that level. Adjust your envelope 1. Go to your matrix and set your source to KS1. Set the destination to the A pan. Make sure this arrow goes both ways. And set the amount to 25. Add on a diode 1 distortion. Adjust your drive in your mix. Add an EQ boost around 1.2 kHz. Add on a room reverb. Add on a hall reverb. And then add on a kickstart 2. Let's make the lead to Look at You by Miss Monique. Turn on mono and legato. Oscillator A, raise up the unison to 8. Raise up that detune. Oscillator B, let's do analog basic shapes. Square wave, raise up the unison to 8. Add on a alpha and Z noise. Go to your alpha 1 and select the saw down shape, and then adjust it to make it look like this. Turn on trigger and raise up the rate to 1/16. Now assign your alpha 1 to the noise, assign your alpha 1 to oscillator A, and assign your alpha 1 to oscillator B. Add on a compressor. Take out some frequencies around 200 Hz and give a small high shelf boost. Add on a kickstart, and then add on some reverb after the kickstart. I want to give you some tips on how to create melodic techno Afterlife-style chords. In Serum, I have a saw wave with a lot of noise. Then I'm just using LFO 1 to pan this saw wave back and forth. Envelope 1, I have a really short release so I can make these notes very choppy. And then envelope 2, I am assigning this to the filter, an MG-Low24 filter. And then for the mini notes, I'm using a combination of 16th notes and 32nd notes, and then making them a bit shorter at the end here so they have that choppy feel. The whole chord progression is 8 bars, and you can see that I'm automating the filter cutoff different for every chord. Toward the end of the progression, I add in a high note to increase more tension. I also open up that filter a lot more. Let's make the acid bass to Take Me High by Kaskade and Deadmau5. Oscillator A, let's go ahead and do analog BS2 acid. Raise up that level. Turn on oscillator B. Let's do analog basic shapes. Saw wave. Raise up that level. Go to your envelope 1. Adjust it a bit like this. Now go to your envelope 2. Adjust it a bit like this with that curve. Go to your voicing and turn on mono. Turn on your filter. Let's do band 24. Turn on for A and B. Assign envelope 2 to the cutoff. Adjust the modulation like this. Raise up that drive to about 40%. Now let's add on some distortion. And I'll do diode 1. Raise up that drive. Lower that mix. Now let's add on a compressor, and then I'll add on a chorus, take down that delay, lower that depth, raise up that low pass filter, lower the mix. Then I'll add a low cut EQ around 150 Hz, and I'll give a boost around 1.5 kHz. And then I'll add on one more EQ just rolling off around 10 kHz. And then I'll add on a hall reverb, and a kickstart 2 for some heavy sidechain compression. Let's make the lead from Alive by KX5. Oscillator A, let's do analog basic mini. Set your voicing on a mono. Adjust your envelope 1 like this. Zoom in and give a curve to that attack, and make sure to give it some release. Go to your alpha 1. Turn off BPM. Slow down that rate. Assign your alpha 1 to the fine tuning of oscillator A. Let's set that modulation to about 25. Go to your LFO 2, turn on the trigger, adjust the rate to 1/32, adjust the rise to 1/4, assign your LFO to the level of oscillator A, adjust that modulation. Turn on your filter and let's do MG-Low 6. Assign envelope 1 to the cutoff, adjust the modulation, lower that resonance, and raise up that drive. Let's add on some tape saturation, raise the drive all the way up and lower that mix. Add on a low cut EQ around 150 Hz, and then a high shelf around 2 kHz. Add on delay, raise up that feedback. 1/8 for the left, 1/4 for the right. Adjust that filter, raise up that mix. Let's add on some reverb, adjust that low cut, raise up that mix. And then add on a kickstart 2 for that pumping effect. Let's make the Plucks from Escape by Deadmau5 and Kaskade. Oscillator A, let's do Analog Basic Mini. Raise up the unison to 5. Lower that detune. Adjust your envelope 1 so it looks a bit like this. Go to your filter. Let's do MG low 18. Assign envelope 1 to the cutoff. Adjust the cutoff a bit like this. Raise up that resonance and raise up the drive a tiny bit. Now let's add on a compressor. And then I'll add on some chorus. Let's raise up that low pass filter and lower that mix. And then I'll add on a plate reverb. And then a low cut EQ. Let's make the lead to Escape by Deadmau5 and Kaskade. Also, let's do Analog MB Saw. Raise up that wavetable position a bit. Raise up that level. Now adjust your envelope 1. Make it look a bit like this. Now adjust your envelope 2. Make it look a bit like this. Raise up that attack. Raise up that release. Go to your voicing, turn on mono. Now turn on your filter. Let's do MG low 18. Assign envelope 2 to the cutoff. And adjust your modulation like this. Raise up that resonance and raise up that drive a bit. Now let's add on some distortion. I'm going to do hard clip. Raise up that drive. Lower the mix. Now I'm going to add on a compressor. Then some reverb. And then a low cut EQ. And then a sidechain compressor. Let's make the Reese bass to the Alex Wann remix of Milkshake. Turn on mono and turn on always. Set this portamento to about 110 milliseconds. Turn on your sub, lower the octave to -2. Set your sub to this pulse wave. On oscillator A, lower the octave to -2. Raise up the semitones to +7. Set the unison to 7 and lower that detune. Copy oscillator A to B. On oscillator B, raise up the octave to -1. Go to your global and lower the width of oscillator A and B to 50. Slow down your attack a tiny bit on envelope 1. Add on an MG low 24 filter. Adjust that cutoff. Raise up that resonance and drive. Then I will assign this macro knob to the level of oscillator A. Adjust that modulation. So now I can turn off oscillator A for the verses. And turn it on for the chorus. Add on the soft clip distortion, turn on this post low pass filter, adjust your drive and mix. Let's make the synth to Mwaki by Zerb. Oscillator A, let's do Analog Basic Shapes. Let's add on a J106 noise, lower this level, adjust your envelope 1. Adjust your envelope 2. Add on a low 24 filter. Turn on key tracking. Assign envelope 2 to your cutoff. Adjust that modulation. Raise up your resonance. And raise up your drive and fat. Add on a compressor. Add on a soft clip distortion. Adjust your drive and your mix. Add on the dimension. Adjust your size and mix. Add on a mid-range boost. Add on a ambience reverb. And then sidechain it to the kick.